Big J Okerson has now responded to DL Hughley, and his main argument is pretty simple. How can DL criticize him for doing a Blaccent when DL himself has a history of doing white voices and Asian voices in his own comedy?
You're a boob, DL Hughley, because you have a history, idiot.
Almost like everything he said he didn't do, we have proof of
that's
him
what this
doing.
is.
But you took the bait and started doing the black voices and talking.
I saw this lineup and I thought to myself,
Which I didn't do.
The wife will get a job a 2-week notice when they quit. I'm quitting in exactly 2 weeks. I've got a better career opportunity.
Oh, what the?
Jay, settle down.
There it is.
No, what's this guy doing white voice?
know.
The entire basis of all black comedy?
Jay,
You're talking about ground zero of all black comedy.
it was a different time, Jay.
Ain't no Chinese people live here.
Whoa.
That was me going, he no here, he no here.
Oh, get.
He moved away, he no here no more.
What the fuck is happening?
That was never okay, Jay.
What the fuck is happening? Okay, well, he's probably made major penance for this, right? I'm sure he's really turned it all around. I guess,
I wouldn't do that now.
isn't it that easy to say that?
Now I wouldn't do that.
Solves the problem real quick, don't?
If I don't do that now, I don't do that.
Now, is that a racist black impression? Or am I almost fucking nailing D.L. Hughley at this point now? Come on, guys.
I'm not racist. I've had 3 black people over my house.
Man, what a hack.
You've had more than that over your house.
I have had more than that over my house. At once, sometimes.
To be fair to Big J, there is an argument there. A lot of comedians, especially from the Def Comedy Jam era and that whole old school stand-up world, used voices. Black comedians did white voices. White comedians did black voices. People did Asian accents, Latino accents, African accents, Caribbean accents, whatever. That was part of the language of stand-up at the time. DL Hughley has definitely worked in that tradition. So has Dave Chappelle. So have loads of comics people now consider legends. So if DL is saying Big J should never do a racial voice under any circumstances, Big J has every right to say, hold on, you did versions of that too. But that is also where the conversation gets tricky, because comedy is not just about the technical act. It's about context, target, delivery, and who is laughing. A black comedian doing a corny white voice in the 90s is not automatically the same as a white comedian doing a Blaccent in 2026. You can say both involve racial mimicry, but the weight behind them is different. And this is the part Big J might be missing. When black comedians did exaggerated white voices back in the day, a lot of white people in the audience were laughing.
And say to all the white people all over America, say it. Say, I love Def Comedy Jam and you can love it too.
2 shots of Jaeger, tequila, 4 bong hits, man, beer, cheeseburger.
When they did certain Asian voices, Asian audience members often laughed too, depending on the joke, the comic, and the room.
If you ever get in a fight with an Asian and he says, please, I don't want any trouble. You really should run.
That does not mean every old joke aged well. Some of them definitely didn't. But in many cases, the joke was not built on hatred. It was built on social observation, tension, awkwardness, and playful exaggeration. The audience could feel the difference. That is the thing people underestimate about race jokes. The crowd can usually tell when a comedian is playing with a stereotype and when a comedian is hiding behind one. They can tell when the joke is sharp, and they can tell when the joke is just, look, I'm doing the voice. That is why somebody like Dave Chappelle could do racial voices and survive it. The voice was usually attached to a bigger point. There was character, rhythm, intelligence, and a clear reason for why the voice was there. You might not like every joke, but there was craft. That is also why on a show like Kill Tony, someone like Cam Patterson can say something like,
Is this a regular white bitch? It's a good old regular fat white bitch. I like the curve
in front of a mostly white crowd and still get laughs. It is not because white people suddenly love being insulted. It is because the tone, timing, relationship with the audience, and absurdity of the moment make it work. The audience feels invited into the joke rather than attacked by it. Hans Kim has walked a similar line with Asian jokes. Sometimes he gets away with it. Sometimes people call him out.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You just give them more room to breathe.
If you're Asian American, the only valid reaction you should have to that video is disgust and, frankly, embarrassment. And now, when Asian communities are under attack, the fact that we're still throwing the Black community under the bus shows how desperate some of us are to cling to this proximity to whiteness as our saving grace, as if that is going to keep us safe and protect our families when it never has before.
There is no magical rule where race jokes are always fine or always forbidden. The room decides. The joke decides. The comedian's skill decides. That is what separates a good comedian from a bad one. A good comedian can talk about race and still have the people being joked about laughing. A bad comedian says something racial, gets silence or backlash, then blames the audience for being sensitive. That is the difference. Big J's argument works if DL is pretending he has never touched racial voices in his life. But it does not fully work if the issue is whether Big J's version landed, whether it felt malicious, or whether it came during a moment where people were already questioning how Black pain gets treated in comedy. Because DL's larger argument has been about double standards. His issue is not simply no one can ever do an accent. His issue is that Black people are constantly told to take the joke, move on, and stop complaining, while other groups are allowed to draw hard lines.
Another problem I have is that the people who yell at the loudest don't really mean it. You can't tell me that you want freedom of speech, but you're okay with Colbert getting fired because the president didn't like it. You're okay with Jimmy Kimmel being under assault. So I think it's disingenuous. To me, I really mean what I say. I don't like that man. I don't like him at all because I believe him to be a racist. But I would defend his right to tell his jokes. Racists gotta laugh too. just not around me. I just don't need to hear it.
So Big J can bring up DL's old white voices and Asian voices, but that does not automatically clear him. It just opens the bigger question. When does imitation become observation, and when does it become mockery? And that is where this beef is actually useful, because it exposes how messy comedy rules really are. Comedians want freedom, but they also want audiences to laugh. They want to be dangerous, but they don't want consequences. They want to say context matters when defending themselves, but sometimes ignore context when criticizing someone else.